The night sky was calm at first, filled with stars and the pale light of the moon. Families sat on rooftops, lovers walked in the parks, and soldiers stood guard at their posts. No one expected the sky to tear open. It started with a sound, not like thunder, not like wind, but something deeper, like the sky itself was breaking. A line of fire ripped across the heavens, stretching from horizon to horizon. Then the stars disappeared one by one as massive shadows covered them. "Is that a ship?" a young man whispered, staring upward from a crowded street. But it was not one ship. Dozens of enormous alien vessels hung above Earth. They were darker than night, their sharp edges glowing with strange blue light. People screamed. Cars stopped. In the middle of highways, children cried, holding tight to their parents. Across the world, the message came. Every screen, every device, every radio, every speaker turned on at once. A voice spoke, cold and cruel. "Humans, kneel. Your world is ours." The voice was not like any human language, yet somehow every ear understood it. Panic spread faster than fire. Governments scrambled, military bases armed their defenses, and fighter jets took off into the air. But even the bravest knew the truth. Earth's weapons were nothing against ships that could block the stars. In a dark room filled with screens, generals gathered. They stared at the giant ships above the cities. "We don't stand a chance," one whispered. "Not in open war," another answered. "Then what do we do?" a young officer asked, his voice shaking. The oldest general looked at him and said quietly, "We wait." Above, in the alien command ship, tall figures stood around a glowing table. Their skin shimmered like silver, their eyes cold and sharp. Their leader raised a hand, silencing the others. "Look at them," he said, with disdain. "They are afraid. They will kneel just as every weak race before them." One of his officers laughed, tapping the hologram of Earth. "They have no defenses worth our attention. Their weapons are old, their fleets are nothing. This world is already ours." The leader's smile was cruel. "Then let us watch them bow." But Earth did not bow. On the streets of New York, London, Tokyo, Karachi, Rio, people stood still. Some knelt in fear, but many only watched the sky, silent, waiting. The aliens grew. Restless. "Why do they not surrender?" one asked. "Perhaps they are stubborn," another sneered. "Or perhaps—" The alien leader narrowed his eyes. "They hide something." Strange events began that very night. In the deserts, an alien patrol vanished without trace. Their last signal was filled with static and screams. In the oceans, 2 alien drones sank to the depths, torn apart by something unseen. In the mountains, soldiers reported flashes of light in the sky, then nothing. Whispers spread among the invaders. "Something moves in the dark," one officer muttered. "Nonsense," the commander snapped. "They are weak. They have nothing." But still, the reports kept coming. Whole squads disappeared. Ships reported shadows moving faster than sensors could follow. In a hidden bunker deep underground, human officers watched these events unfold. "They don't understand what's happening," one said with a thin smile. "They think we are weak," another answered. "Then let them believe it a little longer," the old general replied. Above the clouds, one alien ship floated quietly, scanning the surface below. Its commander leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "There," he whispered. On his screen, a faint shape appeared, a black triangle moving fast, almost invisible. "Impossible," his officer gasped. "Their technology cannot hide from us." Before he could finish, the alien ship shook violently. Explosions tore through its hull, flames lighting the night sky. The commander shouted, but it was too late. His ship split apart, crashing into the ocean below. The other alien ships saw the destruction. Alarms echoed through their fleets. "What was that?" voices cried. "No enemy ship detected." It came from nowhere. Fear spread among the invaders. On Earth, people looked up and saw fire raining from the sky. For a moment, they thought it was the end, but then they realized it was not Earth that burned. It was the invaders. A boy pointed to the heavens, his eyes wide. "Look, something is fighting them." Above the burning wreckage, black shadows moved across the stars, sleek shapes, silent and deadly. They did not look like Earth's old fighters or clumsy rockets. These were different, invisible to alien eyes, sharper than any weapon humanity had ever shown. And then, from the depths of the alien fear, a single voice whispered, trembling, "They have a fleet we did not see." Back on the ground, in the dark bunker, the old general finally stood. His voice was calm, steady, and filled with iron. "They thought we would kneel," he said. "But humanity never kneels." Above, the shadowy ships spread out surrounding the alien fleet, silent hunters, hidden weapons, a force the invaders never expected. And as the night burned with fire and fear, a new chapter of Earth began. Humanity's secret had been revealed. The Shadow Fleet had awakened. The aliens, who once believed they had already won, now whispered the word they had never spoken before. Impossible. The night after the first alien ship was destroyed, Earth held its breath. Cities stayed dark, power grids were shut down, and people whispered in fear. Nobody knew what had happened. Some thought it was a miracle. Others feared it was only the beginning of something worse. In the alien fleet, silence spread like a sickness. Their commanders spoke in anger, but their voices carried fear. "How can humans destroy one of our ships?" An alien officer hissed. "Impossible! They have no such weapons," another replied. "Then explain the wreckage burning in the ocean." The commander roared, his silver eyes flashing. The leader of the invaders remained still. His long fingers tapped the glowing table as he studied the reports. "They hide something," he said at last. "But it will not save them. Their cities are weak. Their armies are afraid. We will crush their spirit before their secret weapon appears again." The next morning, alien ships descended lower, hanging like black clouds above the largest cities of Earth. People ran to shelters, churches filled with prayers, and soldiers stood ready at their posts, even though they knew their rifles would do nothing. In Washington, the president addressed her generals. Her face was pale, but her voice was steady. "We cannot fight them openly," she said. One general slammed his fist on the table. "Our people demand answers. They saw fire in the sky last night. They believe we can win." The president shook her head. "One lucky strike will not win us a war. If we show false hope, we will be crushed." In a secret bunker far beneath the city, the old general who had spoken the night before listened quietly. He whispered to a younger officer beside him, "Let them believe the world is weak. Let the aliens laugh. Every hour they wait, our shadows move closer." But on the surface, hope was fading. Alien broadcasts filled every screen again. Their leader's voice was cold and sharp, echoing across the world. "Humans, you saw what happens to those who resist. Kneel and live. Refuse, and your cities will turn to ash." In London, a father pulled his daughter close as the message played in the sky. She looked up at him with wide eyes. "Papa, are we going to kneel?" The father's lips trembled. He wanted to say no. He wanted to say Earth would fight. But when he looked at the giant ships above them, the words died in his throat. Across the seas in Tokyo, crowds gathered, their faces pale. An old woman whispered to the people around her, "We are ants to them. Ants do not fight giants." The aliens believed the same. On their command ship, officers laughed as they watched human fear grow. "Look at them," one said. "They are broken already." Another sneered. "Soon they will beg for mercy." But one alien, younger than the rest, frowned. "Commander," he said, "what if this silence is not fear? What if it is waiting?" The commander's silver eyes narrowed. "Waiting for what?" The young officer hesitated. For whatever destroyed our ship. The room fell silent. That night, another patrol vanished. Then another. A third ship exploded in the sky without warning. The invaders grew restless. Something. "Hunters," one officer whispered. The commander struck the table with his fist. "Enough! We are the hunters. They are prey." But his words did not match the fear in his voice. On Earth, people began to hear rumors. Soldiers in bunkers whispered about secret ships, invisible in the dark. Civilians told stories of black triangles moving across the stars. Children drew pictures of shadowy wings in the sky. In a refugee camp, a boy asked an old soldier, "Is it true? Do we have ships that can fight them?" The soldier leaned close, lowering his voice. "Maybe, maybe not. But I'll tell you one thing, son. Humans don't kneel." The next morning, alien ships fired on an empty city to prove their strength. Towers fell, flames lit the sky, and the world watched in horror. Millions wept. The president sat in silence, her face hidden in her hands. "This is the end," one of her advisors whispered, but the old general stood tall. His voice was like steel. "No, this is the beginning." Deep underground, lights flickered in hidden bases. Long corridors echoed with footsteps. Pilots strapped into sleek black ships, their faces calm and focused. Engineers whispered final checks. In one hangar, a young pilot looked at her commander. "Sir, do we really stand a chance?" The commander smiled faintly. "We don't need a chance. We are the chance." The aliens did not know it yet, but Earth's silence was not surrender. It was a trap. The invaders thought humanity was broken. They thought Earth would kneel. But in the shadows, the real war was only beginning. That night, when the stars disappeared, again under the alien fleet, the world held its breath. The invaders believed they had crushed all hope. But in truth, hope had only gone underground, hidden, waiting, and sharper than ever. And soon the silence would break. The days that followed were strange. The alien fleet still floated above Earth like dark clouds, their glowing edges burning against the night sky. People walked in silence, afraid to even look up. Yet rumors began to spread, moving through cities, villages, and camps like whispers in the wind. "Did you hear? Another alien ship fell in the sea. They say black wings were seen above the mountains." My cousin swears soldiers talked about invisible ships. At first, most dismissed these stories as desperate lies. Hope was dangerous. Hope could get people killed. But slowly, too many strange things happened to ignore. One night in the deserts, an alien convoy vanished without trace. No explosions, no signals, only silence. In the forests of South America, patrols reported shadows moving between the trees, faster than anything they had ever seen. And in orbit, 2 more alien ships were lost, their wreckage burning like meteors as they fell to Earth. On the alien command ship, panic grew. "They are ghosts," one officer shouted. "Shadows!" another hissed. "Something strikes and disappears before we can see." "It is impossible," the commander snapped, though his voice shook. "These humans cannot build such weapons." The leader rose, his silver skin reflecting the pale light of the room. His voice was calm but cold. "Then what destroyed our ships? What hunts us now?" Silence filled the chamber. None dared to answer. On Earth, people were afraid. But now they were also curious. In a shelter in Paris, a little boy tugged on his mother's sleeve. "Mama, is it true? Do we have secret ships?" The mother smiled sadly, brushing his hair. "I don't know, child, but if the shadows are ours, then maybe we are not alone in this fight." In a hidden bunker, human officers studied the chaos. Screens glowed with reports of alien confusion. The old general stood at the center, his eyes sharp. "They don't know what hunts them," he said. A young officer nodded. "The rumors are working. Fear is spreading through their ranks." "Good," the general replied. "Let fear be their first enemy. We will be their second." Above the Atlantic Ocean, another alien ship scanned the waters below. Its commander leaned forward, uneasy. "Where are they?" he muttered. His officer checked the readings. "No human ships detected." "Then why do I feel—" The commander stopped. His eyes widened. "Wait, what is that?" Before the officer could answer, the ship shook violently. Explosions ripped through its hull. Fire and smoke filled the control room. In the chaos, the commander shouted one last word: "Shadows!" The wreckage burned across the sky, visible to thousands on the coast. People rushed outside to watch, their eyes wide. For the first time, they did not cheer in fear. They cheered in hope. In London, a man on the street shouted, "We are fighting back!" In Cairo, children pointed to the sky, laughing. In New Delhi, families embraced, whispering, "We are not powerless." But the aliens were not celebrating. Inside their command ship, voices clashed in fear. "This is no rumor," one officer barked. "Something is destroying us." The commander slammed his fist on the table. "Then find them." "We cannot find what we cannot see," another cried. The leader's eyes narrowed. "If we cannot see the shadows, then we will burn everything until they reveal themselves." On Earth, the president listened to the reports with wide eyes. "So the people know," she whispered. The old general stood beside her, calm as ever. "Yes, the world believes in the shadows now." The president turned to him. "And when will you reveal the truth?" His reply was steady. "When the time is right, let the enemy fear shadows a little longer. Their fear weakens them more than our fire ever could." That night, strange lights danced across the skies. Alien ships fired wildly into empty air, trying to hit enemies they could not see. Explosions lit up the heavens, but nothing was there. People on the ground watched in awe as the invaders grew desperate, wasting their power on ghosts. In a refugee camp, a young girl whispered to her brother, "The shadows are protecting us." Her brother grinned. "Maybe the shadows are us." In the alien fleet, the younger officer who had doubted from the start approached his commander. "Sir," he said quietly, "I believe the humans built something we do not understand. If we continue underestimating them, we may lose this war." The commander glared at him. "You think these primitives can defeat us?" The officer swallowed hard. "I think they already have." The words hung heavy in the air. And on Earth, hidden deep in mountain bases and ocean hangars, the Shadow Fleet waited. Their ships were silent, cloaked, unseen. Their pilots whispered to one another, voices calm and steady. "They don't know who we are. They don't know how many we are. They only know the shadows." For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had turned fear back on the enemy. The aliens had come expecting surrender, but instead they found themselves hunted, and above the silent earth, their mighty fleet trembled in the dark. The alien fleet hung above Earth like a wall of night. Their ships stretched for miles, glowing with cruel blue light. On the surface, people waited in silence, afraid of what would come next. But deep underground, far from alien eyes, humans, prepared for something the invaders never imagined. In a hidden hangar carved into a mountain, sleek black ships stood ready. Their surfaces drank the light around them, almost vanishing into the shadows. Pilots climbed inside, their helmets reflecting the glow of quiet control panels. Engineers whispered final checks, while officers moved with cold precision. One young pilot's hands trembled as he strapped in. "Sir," he said softly, "do we really have a chance?" His commander leaned close, his eyes steady. "Listen to me. They think we are weak. Tonight we show them what they should fear." Above, the aliens continued their search. Their sensors swept across the skies, scanning oceans and forests. They fired blindly into empty space, hoping to hit the unseen enemy. But nothing appeared. "They mock us," one alien officer spat. "Then we will burn their cities until they scream," the commander growled. The alien leader, however, was not so sure. His long fingers tapped the table as he stared at the map of Earth. "Something is wrong," he muttered. "Why do they remain silent? Why do they not beg?" Far below, the silence ended. "Launch!" the old general ordered. Engines roared to life, but no sound echoed outside. The black ships rose like ghosts, their bodies bending the light, invisible to alien eyes. They slipped through clouds, gliding toward the massive fleet above. In the alien command ship, alarms suddenly blared. Unidentified movement. "Where? I see nothing." "Shadows. They are in the shadows." Before they could react, the first blast struck. A huge alien cruiser shook violently as fire tore through its hull. The ship split in two, pieces falling into the ocean below. Screams filled the alien channels. Another alien officer shouted, "They're here! They're attacking from nowhere!" High above, the shadow fleet moved like hunters in the dark. Their weapons struck with precision. Silent beams slicing through armor, torpedoes exploding without warning. One by one, alien warships burst into flames. On the ground, people rushed into the streets. They pointed at the sky, gasping as the impossible unfolded before their eyes. Alien ships burned and fell, their wreckage lighting the night like falling stars. In New York, a child shouted, "We're fighting back!" In Cairo, crowds cheered, tears streaming down their faces. In Tokyo, an old man whispered, "The shadows are real." But inside the alien fleet, panic ruled. "Commander, our sensors cannot lock on them. They strike and vanish before we can fire back." "This is not possible!" The alien leader slammed his fist against the glowing table. "They were supposed to kneel. They were supposed to break. How do they have this power?" Another blast rocked his ship, throwing officers from their chairs. Fire poured from the walls. He snarled, his calm mask finally broken. "Find them! Find the shadows, or we are finished!" But the shadows were everywhere. Above the Pacific, 3 black ships danced around a massive alien battleship. They fired in perfect rhythm, their weapons tearing through the enemy's shields. The battleship groaned like a dying beast before. It exploded in a storm of fire. On Earth, the president watched from her bunker, her eyes filled with tears as she saw the sky burn with alien wreckage. "They're winning," she whispered. The old general stood beside her, his voice steady. "No, they are beginning." The battle raged through the night. Alien ships turned their weapons on cities, but before they could fire, the shadows struck, destroying them mid-charge. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity stood tall, not in surrender, but in fury. In the cockpit of a shadow ship, the young pilot who once trembled now smiled behind his helmet. "They don't even see us," he whispered. His commander's voice crackled through the radio. "Good, let them fight ghosts. We are the storm they never expected." But even as the aliens fell, the leader of the invaders refused to admit defeat. His ship shook, flames crawling across its hull, yet his eyes burned with cold fury. "You think shadows can stop us?" he hissed into the void. "You think humans can win? This is only one battle. We will return. We will crush you until your world is dust." His words went unheard. A final strike tore through his ship, engulfing it in fire. The mighty vessel collapsed, breaking apart as it fell into the sea. The world below erupted in cheers. People hugged one another, crying, shouting and laughing. The impossible had happened. The aliens bled. The invincible fleet was not invincible after all, and yet in the hidden bunker, the old general did not smile. He looked at the screens showing burning ships and whispered, "This is not the end. This is the opening move." Above Earth, the shadow fleet regrouped, their black ships gliding silently through the stars. Not a single one was lost. They had struck fast, struck hard, and vanished again into the darkness. The aliens had expected humanity to kneel. Instead, they had witnessed a storm rise from the shadows, and for the first time, the invaders felt something they had never known before: fear. The first open strike of the Shadow Fleet shook the universe. Entire cities lit up as alien warships burned in the skies, their wreckage falling like dying stars. Humanity, once silent and afraid, now shouted with hope. Crowds filled the streets, cheering the invisible warriors who had come out of the dark. But the war was not won. In orbit, the alien fleet regrouped. Smoke and fire scarred their once perfect formation. Hundreds of their ships were gone, but thousands remained. Inside the command chamber, voices clashed in rage and fear. "They strike from nowhere," one officer shouted. "Our sensors cannot find them," another cried. "They are ghosts, Commander, ghosts that bleed us." The alien leader stood in silence. His eyes, glowing like silver blades, narrowed. He raised his hand, and the chamber fell quiet. "Ghosts do not destroy warships," he said coldly. "This is no magic. The humans built this fleet. They hid it from us." The younger officer dared to speak. "If they built one secret fleet, perhaps they built more." The leader turned slowly, his voice like steel. "Then we will drag their secrets into the light, burn their skies, burn their oceans, burn their ground. If the shadows hunt us, we will blind them with fire." That night, the war truly began. Alien ships unleashed their fury. Beams of blue light cut across the skies, tearing through forests and mountains. Oceans boiled as massive blasts struck the waters. Cities shook under waves of fire. People screamed, ran, and prayed. In the underground bunker, the president slammed her hand on the table. "They're destroying everything," she cried. The old general, calm even as the earth trembled above them, answered, "This is their desperation. They strike blindly because they are afraid. Afraid or not," she said, her voice breaking, "they will kill millions." High above, the Shadow Fleet moved again. Black ships slipped through the smoke like hunters in the night. They struck fast, cutting down alien destroyers before vanishing. In one cockpit, a young pilot gritted his teeth as alarms flashed. "They're firing everywhere. I can't get a lock." His commander's voice came sharp through the radio. "Stay calm. We are shadows. They cannot hit what they cannot see." The pilot steadied his breathing. His ship turned sharply, diving into the chaos. A massive alien cruiser loomed ahead. With a quick squeeze of the trigger, he unleashed a storm of fire. The cruiser exploded, breaking apart in a blinding flash. Below, people saw the light and cheered. To them, every explosion was a promise. Earth would not fall, but the aliens were not finished. On their command ship, the leader ordered new tactics. Spread the fleet, hunt them piece by piece, force the humans to fight in the open. An officer hesitated. "But Commander, if we divide, we become weaker." The leader's voice cut like a blade. "Do as I command." And so, the alien fleet stretched across the skies, ships fanning out to chase the invisible enemy. The Shadow Fleet answered with silence. They hid, waiting. Then, in perfect rhythm, they struck. One by one, alien groups vanished into fire. Patrol near Africa was torn apart in seconds. A squadron over the Pacific disappeared in flames. A battleship above South America burned so brightly that people on the ground thought a second sun had risen. In the alien chambers, fear became open panic. They are everywhere. They strike in all directions. We are fighting the dark itself. The leader clenched his fists, his fury boiling. "No," he whispered more to himself than to his officers. "We are not fighting the dark. We are fighting something worse." Meanwhile, on Earth, people no longer whispered. They shouted, sang, and wept with joy. In the streets of Rome, crowds waved flags, chanting, "We rise! We rise!" In the ruins of a bombed city, survivors lit fires and called them the lights of resistance. The president spoke to her people from the bunker. Her voice carried across radios, televisions, and speakers. They thought we would kneel. They thought we would break. But tonight, you have seen the truth. Humanity does not bow. Humanity fights. And we do not fight alone. We fight with shadows. Cheers erupted across the world. But in the mountains, the old general remained serious. He looked at the screens of burning alien ships and said quietly to his officers, "Remember, this war is not over. A cornered beast is most dangerous when it bleeds." And he was right. Far above, in the last untouched corner of the alien fleet, a new weapon stirred. Hidden deep within a massive mothership, something glowed, a weapon they had not yet revealed. The leader's cold smile returned as he whispered, "You believe shadows will save you, humans, but shadows cannot hide from the fire that is coming." The war had turned, but it was not finished. Earth had shown its strength, the aliens had shown their rage, and both sides knew the darkest battle was yet to come. For now, the night belonged to humanity. The shadows ruled the skies. But beyond the eye, smoke and fire, a greater storm was waiting. The war had reached its peak. Across Earth, alien wreckage still burned in the skies, but hope was fragile. The Shadow Fleet had given humanity victories, but in the depths of space, the alien leader prepared his final strike. Inside the colossal mothership, hidden deep behind armored walls, a weapon of terrifying power pulsed like a dark sun. Its energy could tear through planets, split oceans, and silence worlds forever. The alien leader stood before it, his silver eyes gleaming. "Human shadows have bitten us like insects," he said softly, "but soon their world will be ash, their skies will burn, and their courage will turn to dust." An officer asked carefully, "When do we fire, Commander?" The leader's smile was cold. "Now." The weapon began to awaken. On Earth, in the underground command bunker, alarms screamed, screens flickered with warnings. Energy spikes, unlike anything ever seen, were detected in orbit. The president turned pale. "What is that?" The old general's face hardened. "Their final weapon. If they fire it, Earth is finished." "Can we stop it?" she whispered. The general's eyes went to the Shadow Fleet's commander on the screen. The commander's voice came steady, but grim. "We have one chance. We strike before it fires. If we fail, there is no tomorrow." Silence filled the bunker. Then the president straightened. "Do it, for Earth." High above, the Shadow Fleet prepared. Black ships slid out of the smoke, engines glowing faintly. The pilots knew this mission was suicide. Still, not one turned away. In one cockpit, the young pilot closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the voices of his family, the laughter of his little sister, the faces of people he fought for. His hands tightened on the controls. "If this is it," he whispered, "let them remember us." The fleet surged forward. Alien defenses came alive instantly. Blinding beams of light tore through the dark, chasing the human ships. Explosions lit the void as the Shadow Fleet pushed on, ships breaking apart in fire, but still they advanced. Inside the mothership, the alien leader watched calmly. "They come to die," he said, but an officer's voice shook. "Commander, they are not afraid." The Shadow Fleet fought like hunters of the night. Ships dove between blasts, weaving in patterns too fast for alien sensors. They struck hard, targeting weak points, carving a path toward the weapon's core. The young pilot's voice crackled through the radio. "We're close, almost there!" Another pilot shouted, "Keep moving, don't stop, not now!" One by one, the ships fell until only a handful remained. They broke through the final wall of defenses and saw it, the weapon glowing brighter than the sun, ready to unleash death. The commander's voice came over the radio, calm but firm. "This is it! Hit it with everything!" The Shadow Fleet fired all at once. Missiles, beams, and cannons lit the darkness. Explosions thundered across the mothership, tearing into its armor. The weapon shook, but it did not stop. Its light only grew stronger. "We're not breaking it," the young pilot shouted. The commander's voice came again, lower this time. "Then we give it more than fire. We give it ourselves." The young pilot's heart pounded. He understood. They all did. One by one, the surviving ships locked onto the weapon's core. Engines roared as they prepared for the final dive. "Earth will remember us," one whispered. "For humanity," another said. "For the shadows," the commander's voice finished. The ships plunged forward. The mothership blazed as their sacrifice tore into the weapon's heart. For a moment, there was silence. Then light, a blinding explosion filled the sky. The alien mothership split apart, burning like a dying star. The weapon, once glowing with deadly power, shattered into nothing. On Earth, people saw the sky light up. At first, there was fear. Then, when the alien ships began to fall silent, hope roared through the streets. Crowds screamed, cried, and embraced each other. The Shadow Fleet had given everything and won. In the alien command chamber, silence reigned. Officers looked at their leader, waiting. His silver eyes flickered with something no one had seen before. Doubt. He whispered. "They destroyed it." The officers stared at him, shaken. One dared to say, "Commander?" "What? Now?" The leader's face darkened. His pride bled away, replaced by cold anger. "Now, we retreat." The alien fleet began to vanish, pulling back into the stars. They had come to make humanity kneel, but instead they had been forced to flee. In the bunker, the president stood before her people, voice trembling with emotion. "Today, we were tested. They brought fire, they brought terror, but humanity stood. We fought with courage and with shadows. We will remember those who gave everything, and we will never kneel." The old general bowed his head. They gave us victory, but at a price. The president placed her hand over her heart. "A price we will honor forever." Above Earth, the skies slowly cleared. Wreckage burned as it fell through the atmosphere, but the world still stood. Humanity still stood, and in the silence of space, the last message of the Shadow Fleet lived on, not in words, but in fire. They had shown the universe that humanity would not bow, would not break, and would never be forgotten.